Kasich, Jim Sciutto here. You know, early on, we saw partisanship infect the response to this, the view of this. You know, Republicans and Democrats had different views as to whether this was a real threat. In Gallup polling, Republicans and Democrats had different views as to whether they should stay at home, you know, obey those orders. Now, the president's language has changed on this. Are you seeing that changing? Or is that something that's difficult for the country to get over? I mean, it is a president who's attacked institutions for years, and that has an effect.
Look, where we are today is I'm beside myself of the kind of things that our medical professionals are facing. We don't have the testing. We don't have the equipment that these people need. When they go into a hospital room, when they go in to perform their duties, they don't know if they're going to be properly equipped. So what does that mean? First of all, the federal government ought to open a fusion center so these governors can have a way to get directly to somebody in the federal government so they can get an answer. Secondly, we've got some bureaucratic paralysis in this country. You know, bureaucrats only get punished if they do something wrong. They never get punished if they or promoted if they do something right. They need to be set free to stop checking all the boxes. So, in fact, they can make decisions to move this along. And, Jim, I think in addition to all of that, we need the experts in the private sector, the ones that are experts in production, so we can begin to make the masks and the equipment. Number two, we need the logistics experts. We need the people from Amazon and Walmart to be in the government, like happened before with the dollar a day man that happened years and years ago. Get the ingenuity of the private sector to begin solving a lot of this problem, the delivery, the production, the distribution. All this has to be done in addition to the fact that governors should be working together. And for the 12 that are not doing this, they're making a terrible mistake, in my opinion.
I mean, it's a great point. I think we just saw a headline yesterday that Walmart is starting some drive-through testing, for example. The power of the private sector cannot be overstated. Mayor Landrieu, I do want to hit on the most vulnerable populations because you wrote about this in an op-ed about a week ago. And the data back it up now that, you know, the poorer you are, less educated, the more you're having to go to work or out of a job. The wealthier you are, the more educated you are, you're staying at home, you're working, you're getting your same paycheck. Put very bluntly, when this is all said and done, do you fear more poor people will die from this virus simply because of their economic state?
No question about it. General Honore said it the best. When it gets cold, the poor get colder. And when it gets hot, the poor get colder. And when it gets wet, they get wetter. There's no question that that is going to be the outcome. And it is going to expose a massive divide that we have in that country over that. I want to go back to something Governor Kasich said, though. We actually know what needs to be done. We need more testing because you can't fight an enemy that you can't see. We need to get PPE to the ground. We need ventilators and we need beds. Those are the things that the federal government has got to help push to the ground, because the consequence is that you have these healthcare workers who I'm talking to on a regular basis who are putting themselves in harm's way. They're now making life decisions about who lives and who dies by having to decide who gets a ventilator. It's a terrible position to put them in. And then we are literally losing every day part of our families, part of our history. The great jazz legend Ellis Marsalis died last night. He's the godfather of New Orleans, Wynton's dad and Branford's dad. I mean, it is really tragic. And right now, what we have to do for the next 2 weeks is brace for the impact that this country is going to feel that we have not felt in the last half of the last century or the first 2 decades of this one.
For sure. Governor Kasich, I get your point, John. Just quickly, I get your point about private sector, but all the points you're making, they've been made for weeks. We got to get, critical equipment. We got to get testing going. Where is the leadership now? Are you seeing it? I mean, today, this morning, the president is tweeting attacks at governors, saying that they're asking for too much. Yeah. Where is this coming together that everybody's been calling for?
It's inappropriate, Jim. You can't do that. And the fact of the matter is, if I were president, I would have the Bezoses and the Walmart executives, I would set them free. And I would also tell the bureaucrats, stop checking all the boxes. You know, I read yesterday the IRS was saying they weren't going to send a check to a senior citizen until they filed a tax form. That was reverse stupid. I know that out here at Battelle, where they were cleaning masks, the FDA kind of held it up. Fortunately, the administration said, get over it. I am told by people who are in the bowels of the logistics operation in our country that the bureaucrats are holding it up. They need to be our heroes. They need to be our leaders, and that has to come from the top. And, in fact, the president needs to let his cabinet know, get your people doing their job and bring the best people in, the people that do this all the time, how you deliver, how you make, how you manufacture, how you distribute. We're America. America doesn't fall short on this kind of stuff if we are free to go on. So, I mean, I'm not looking backwards. I'm now looking at where we are today and forward, and I am worried about including a number of my friends who are physicians who don't have what they need. We need to fix it, and it has to come from the top. And none of this attacking governors. They have a legitimate complaint. Answer them.
The governors, the governors and the mayors the governors and the mayors are just telling you what they see on the ground. I mean, their feet are on the ground. They're touching people. They see the distance between what it is that we need and what it is that we have, and they can tell you what's going to happen if we don't get it done. Don't blame them.
Yeah. Listen, and you've been a mayor, and you've been a governor. Thanks to both of you. It's always good to have you on. Let's hope we get some of that unity
somebody's
you're
listening.
talking about.
Let's hope that somebody's listening. All right. Thanks, Jim and Poppy.
Thanks to both of you guys. Stay healthy.